In the glittering, cutthroat world of high society, my marriage to Caleb Thorne, the crown prince of the powerful Thorne Corporation, was the year's biggest joke. I'm Audrey Bell, and I came from nothing. People whispered I was a gold digger, that I'd schemed my way into the family. But the truth was, tucked away in a safe in my opulent bedroom, was a stark, black and white marriage contract. 1 year. That was the term. My role? Play the perfect Mrs. Thorne, and absolutely, under no circumstances, interfere with the prince's private life. The payout after a year? A cool $7 million for my youthful compensation. $7 million. With that kind of money, I could move to a quiet coastal town, buy a quaint little bungalow with gray tiles and white walls, spend my days lounging, cracking sunflower seeds, and officially enter an era of absolute idleness. No worries, no effort, just breathing and sleeping. For that magnificent goal, my philosophy within the Thorne household was crystal clear: if I could sit, I would never stand. If money could solve it, I would never lift a finger. High society drama? Too much effort. Power games and schemes? They'd just give me wrinkles. But while I desperately wanted to be invisible, some people seemed determined to drag me into the spotlight. It was the third day after I moved into the Thorne mansion. My bedroom doorbell rang insistently at 6:30 a.m. Downstairs, Victoria Hayes, Caleb's stepmother, was waiting for me. She was impeccably dressed in a silk dress embroidered with peonies, her hair pulled back into a severe bun without a single stray strand, her makeup flawless down to every lash. Looking at her, then down at my own rumpled silk pajamas, I stifled a massive yawn. Audrey. Victoria took a delicate sip of her oolong tea, her voice smooth as silk, yet laced with daggers. You married into the Thorne family from humble beginnings. What you lack in pedigree, you must make up for improper conduct. Caleb's stomach isn't strong. Tomorrow morning, you will rise at 4 a.m. and personally prepare a pot of abalone and black chicken porridge for your husband. Remember, you must clean, tend the fire yourself. No asking the staff for help. Only then can you demonstrate the virtues of a devoted wife. 4 a.m. Tend the fire myself. My brain immediately switched to calculation mode. Waking at 4 a.m. meant losing 3 hours of deep sleep. Sleep deprivation would dull my complexion, requiring at least $500 in restorative creams. Standing by the stove for 2 hours, tending a fire, would burn 300 calories. Cooking fumes clinging to my hair would necessitate an extra $200 in hair oil. Not to mention, my culinary skills barely extended beyond boiling an egg. If I cooked a burnt mess, Caleb, a man with severe germophobia and an incredibly picky palate, would undoubtedly lose his mind. Conclusion: cooking the porridge myself was a total financial loss. Victoria Hayes wanted to torture me. She wanted to exhaust me physically and use Caleb's delicate stomach to brand me a villain. Yes, mother, I blinked, flashing her my most innocent, obedient smile. You are absolutely right. Caleb will definitely have a perfect breakfast. Victoria snorted coldly, then departed. She was certain she'd enjoy a delightful spectacle tomorrow, a disheveled daughter-in-law and a furious CEO husband. Alas, she severely underestimated my inherent laziness. Back in my room, I flopped onto my plush, king-sized bed, pulled the covers to my chin, and reached for my phone. I pulled out the unlimited black card Caleb had given me the day before and dialed a number. Hello, is this Chef Antoine from the Gilded Spoon, the 3-star Michelin restaurant? This is Audrey Bell. Yes, tomorrow morning at 5 a.m., please bring your sous chefs to the Bayside Estate, Residence Number 1. I need abalone and black chicken porridge, lightly seasoned, with side dishes of shrimp dumplings and delicate dim sum. Just charge the service fee directly to my black card. Thank you. I hung up. Total time to solve the problem, 2 minutes. Calories expended, 5. I tossed my phone aside, burrowed under the covers, and drifted off to sleep until 7 a.m. the next day. At 7:15 a.m., the Thorne Mansion dining room was filled with the fragrant aroma of premium rice and exquisite seafood. Victoria, seated at the head of the table, gazed at the steaming pot of porridge, then at the tiered steamers holding delicate dim sum that looked like works of art. Her mouth twitched. I ambled down the stairs. Instead of a silken gown, I was wearing a brown, fuzzy bear print pajama set, complete with bear paw slippers and a loose, messy bun. Why bother changing for breakfast in my own home? Audrey. Victoria slammed her hand on the table, her voice sharp with fury. Did you cook any of this? What on earth are you wearing? Where is your dignity? I pulled out a chair, slumped into it, and propped my chin in my hand. Mother, I can't cook. I hired Chef Antoine to make all this. I gestured vaguely at the spread. Premium black-rimmed abalone, organic black chicken from Yun Mountain. Please, try some. You dared to call an outside chef? Victoria glared, her perfectly manicured, crimson-tipped finger trembling as she pointed at me. I told you to cook it yourself to show your filial devotion. You wasteful, lazy girl. Mother, I poured myself a glass of warm milk, countering slowly, modern thinking dictates using money to buy time. Caleb's stomach is very precious. He closes multi-million-dollar deals in a single minute. If I cooked and accidentally put salt instead of sugar, causing him a stomachache and a trip to the hospital, and Thorne Corporation stock plummeted, who would be responsible? I used money to buy safety for my husband and create income for others. Do you truly want Caleb to eat burnt porridge just to prove my filial devotion? Victoria was speechless. Her mouth opened, then closed. My logic was utterly absurd, yet so watertight it was impossible to refute a single word. Just then, the steady sound of footsteps echoed. Caleb Thorne descended the stairs, dressed in a custom-tailored, obsidian black suit. His chiseled face was devoid of expression, his deep-set eyes reflecting the fatigue of chronic insomnia. Trailing right behind him was Liam Miller, the scion of the Miller family, the city's #1 gossip hound, who had crashed at the mansion last night. Oh my God, that smells amazing. Liam inhaled deeply, his eyes gleaming as he practically dove toward the dining table. He scooped a bowl of porridge, took a mouthful, and gave a resounding thumbs up. Incredible. The rice is perfectly tender, the broth so savory. Sister-in-law, the chef at the Thorne household has truly elevated their game. Caleb paused. His cool gaze swept over Victoria's livid face, then landed on my ridiculous bear pajamas. He subtly furrowed his brow, pulled out the chair next to me, and sat down. He took a spoonful of porridge and tasted it. His stomach, usually churning with the pressures of work, was immediately soothed by the warm broth. The tightness in his chest eased considerably. The corner of the young prince's eyebrow relaxed almost imperceptibly. Sensing my moment, I reached into the pouch pocket of my bear pajamas and pulled out a small receipt, sliding it gently across the table toward Victoria. Mother, I blinked innocently. This is Chef Antoine's bill. Ingredients and home service, totaling $3,000. Yesterday, you said you were so concerned about Caleb's stomach and wanted to take care of him. Since you initiated this act of devotion, could you please settle this $3,000 bill? Liam, in the middle of eating a shrimp dumpling, nearly spatted across the table. He choked, thumping his chest, staring at me as if I were a goddess descended from heaven. A daughter-in-law who dared to make her mother-in-law pay for breakfast. Victoria's face shifted from red to purple. Audrey, don't be ridiculous. You're too lazy to cook, you call in outsiders, and now you demand money from me, she roared. But the idea was yours, Mother, I insisted, maintaining my innocent expression. Caleb placed his porcelain spoon back into his bowl with a crisp clink. He dabbed his mouth with a napkin, then turned to his stepmother, his voice cold and devoid of emotion. Mother, Audrey is right. My health is more important than all these restrictive, superficial rules. You care about me and want me to eat well, so please transfer the $3,000 to her. Victoria was utterly choked. Her expression was a masterpiece of conflicting emotions. She awkwardly rose, gritting her teeth as she forced out each word. Fine. I'll pay. Then, she spun on her heel and stomped out of the dining room. I happily looked at the receipt, mentally tallying up my successful morning, a delicious meal and a perfectly executed trap. A truly satisfying start to the day. Excellent risk management, Caleb said unexpectedly, turning to look at me. A deep, meaningful glint flickered in his dark eyes. You know how to use resources to maximize benefit, without breaking a sweat. Thank you for the compliment, Mr. Thorne, I said, giving a mock military salute, then popped another shrimp dumpling into my mouth. Caleb watched the little barriers on my pajama hood jiggle. The corner of his mouth curved into a barely perceptible smile. This woman, with her lazy, useless facade, had a mind that worked faster than any of his business partners. No yelling, no tears, just money and a bit of logic, and she'd defeated his troublesome stepmother. Beside her, all the pretense of high society seemed to lose its meaning to him. But Victoria Hayes wasn't one to give up easily. Just 3 days after the porridge incident, she launched her second attack, the sympathy ploy. That afternoon, Mr. Henderson, the butler, rushed to my door, knocking frantically. Mrs. Thorne. Mrs. Hayes is suddenly suffering from severe headaches and dizziness. She can't get out of bed. The doctor says she needs constant family care. She specifically requested you attend to her day and night. I set down the half-eaten bag of chips. Faking illness? That trick was as old as time. She wanted to trap me in a dark sick room, force me to massage her feet and fetch water all day and night. If I dared to leave to sleep, she'd spread rumors throughout the city that the Thorne daughter-in-law was unfilial, cold-hearted, and uncaring. All right, Mr. Henderson, please inform her that I will fulfill my filial duties. I stretched, standing up. Massaging and waiting on her hand and foot? Too many calories expended. I immediately swiped my black card and made a call. Half an hour later, I stood at Victoria's door. Behind me, 2 burly bodyguards strained as they carried a giant, plush beanbag chair. Beside me walked a woman in her late 50s, built like a brick house, with bulging biceps and eyes sharp as razors. This was Brenda Schmidt, the city's top-tier, no-nonsense nurse from the north, famous for her iron discipline and unmatched strength. The sickroom door opened. Victoria lay moaning on the bed. Seeing me enter, she whimpered, "Audrey, my head hurts so much. Come here and massage my feet." "Mother, just lie still and rest," I waved a dismissive hand. "You're so gravely ill, and I'm so clumsy. How could I possibly care for you properly? I've hired Nurse Schmidt, the city's S-rank health recovery specialist. From now on, you let her take care of everything." With that, I plopped down onto the beanbag chair, which had just been placed in the corner of the room. I pulled out a black eye mask, slipped in my noise-canceling earplugs, and pulled my comforter up to my neck. "Don't worry, Mother. I'm still here for you 24/7. I'm just going to sleep first. Get well soon." Victoria's eyes bulged. She was about to open her mouth to scold me when Nurse Schmidt took a few formidable steps toward the bed. "Mrs. Hayes, it's time for your medicine." Nurse Schmidt's voice boomed like a brass bell, striking Victoria's eardrums directly. She flinched. I won't drink it. It's too bitter." Without a word, Nurse Schmidt grabbed Victoria's chin with one hand and poured the bitter medicine straight down her throat with the other. Victoria choked and thrashed like a fish out of water, but she couldn't escape the formidable nurse's grip. "Next, we stimulate the meridians." Nurse Schmidt rolled up her sleeves. "The doctor said lying down too much can cause blood stagnation. We must pat your back." Whack, 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 loud slaps echoed through the room like firecrackers. Victoria cried out in pain, screaming miserably. "Let me go. I'm not sick anymore. Get that woman out of here." "Madam, you're delirious," Nurse Schmidt said sternly, delivering 3 more pats. "Mrs. Thorne has paid for a half-month all-inclusive package and instructed me to be diligent. I cannot violate my professional ethics." Victoria wailed and cried for help, but across the room, I was already deep in a peaceful slumber, thanks to my excellent noise-canceling earplugs. Every hour, Nurse Schmidt woke Victoria to force her to drink hot ginger water. Every 2 hours, she dragged her out of bed to stretch her joints. A mere day and a half later, the sickroom door burst open. Victoria, hair disheveled, face haggard, sprinted out of the room as if pursued by a ghost, screaming, "I'm cured. I'm completely well. Stop hitting me." She locked herself in another bedroom, double-bolting the door, vowing never to utter Audrey Bell's name again. That evening, Caleb Thorne returned from a business dinner. Passing down the hallway, he saw Nurse Schmidt packing her things to leave. He glanced into the room. His stepmother had vanished. Only his contract wife remained, curled up on the beanbag chair, breathing softly, a faint smile gracing her lips. He leaned against the doorframe, observing the absurd scene. In this house full of schemes, her laziness was the most effective weapon for dealing with nonsense. No arguments, no pretense. A cold draft swept in from the open window. Caleb took long, slow strides, approaching her. He removed his tie, picked up the thin comforter that had slipped to the floor, and gently draped it over Audrey's slender shoulders. He bent down, his deep voice barely a whisper in the wind. "Sleep well, Mrs. Thorne." A strange seed began to sprout in the cold-hearted prince's chest. He suddenly felt that having this woman stay in the Thorne family was perhaps the wisest decision of his life. After the incident where she had her meridians stimulated by the northern nurse until her soul almost left her body, Victoria Hayes fell into a deep funk. She avoided me like the plague, taking detours if she saw me and ordering all the household staff to absolutely forbid anyone from making noise on the second floor or waking me early. My life in the Thorne household officially entered its golden era, sleeping in until 11 a.m., snacking until 3 p.m., occasionally swiping my black card to buy a few stress-relieving gadgets. But the city's elite never lacked idle hands eager to dig their own graves. With the stepmother temporarily out of the picture, the innocent rival, Tiffany Reed, made her grand entrance. It was Friday noon, and I was wrapped in a blanket, watching cartoons. In the auxiliary hall, Tiffany Reed appeared. She was wearing a pristine white sundress, her hair in a neat braid over one shoulder, gracefully carrying a light pink bento box. Seeing me, she deliberately stopped, sighed dramatically, and spoke in a syrupy sweet voice. "Oh, Audrey, darling, Caleb has been so busy with the new project lately. I heard he hasn't eaten anything since early morning. His stomach must be hurting again. I woke up at 5 a.m. myself to stew some pork ribs and make sushi rolls to bring to his office. As a wife, don't you feel ashamed seeing your husband work so hard while you just lie around watching TV?" With that, she sashayed away with the bento box, her retreating figure exuding the smugness of a devoted wife on a mission to save the world. I crunched on a potato chip, scratching my head. Ashamed? Sorry, that word isn't in my dictionary. Just then, my phone rang. It was Grandpa Thorne. The old man roared into the phone. "Audrey, I heard the staff say that little Tiffany took lunch up to Caleb at the office. You're the lawful wife. Are you just going to let her run wild? Get up to the company and visit your husband, show those nosy employees how thoughtful Mrs. Thorne is. If you don't go, I'm cutting off your game allowance next month." I sighed dramatically. Going to the office was already too much effort, and now he wanted me to cook? Cooking a meal meant 2 hours standing over a greasy stove, plus another 30 minutes washing dishes, far too many calories. But the golden sponsor's command had been issued, I had no choice. My lazy brain immediately started calculating. I pulled out my powerful black card and called the manager of the 5-star Imperial View restaurant. "This is Mrs. Thorne. Prepare a deluxe seafood buffet for 20 people, Wagyu beef, abalone sashimi, and British afternoon tea. Express delivery, straight to the top floor of Thorne Corporation. Charge it to my card." "Thank you." An hour later, on the 88th floor of Thorne Corporation, the atmosphere was as somber as a funeral. The 6-hour strategic meeting had just concluded. Caleb rubbed his temples, unbuttoned the top 2 buttons of his shirt, his stomach cramping. Liam and the other directors were slumped over the table, barely breathing from exhaustion and hunger. Ding, the VIP elevator doors opened. It wasn't an assistant, but a team of chefs in crisp white uniforms pushing 4 gleaming stainless steel trolleys. As the covers were lifted, the aroma of garlic butter lobster, sizzling wagyu, and fragrant tea immediately assaulted the senses of the starving capitalists. I walked out, still in my baggy gray tracksuit, hands in my pockets, stifling a yawn. Sister-in-law. Liam sprang up like a jack-in-the-box, his eyes bloodshot as he lunged for a plate of wagyu. He chewed ravenously, tears streaming down his face. You are a goddess. From now on, my life belongs to you. The other directors also abandoned all pretense, devouring the food like a storm, showering praises on Mrs. Thorne's thoughtfulness and generosity that touched their hearts. Amidst this lively feast, the other elevator opened. Tiffany Reed emerged, clutching her tiny bento box, a delighted smile on her face as she prepared to call out for Caleb, darling. But her smile instantly froze. She looked at the cold sushi rolls in her hand, then at the piles of golden brown lobster and wagyu, and the long line of decadent pastries being demolished. The stark contrast made her look like a maid sneaking in leftovers, completely insignificant, ignored by everyone. I idly waved to Caleb, pointing to his private. My mission to deliver food is complete. The car ride was tiring. I'm going to borrow your office to catch a nap. No noise allowed. Then, I walked straight in, kicked off my slippers, pulled up the covers, and fell asleep. Caleb didn't even spare Tiffany Reed a glance. He coldly instructed his assistant to see her out, then personally carried a plate of food into his private lounge. Click, the door was locked from the inside. He sat on the wool rug next to the sofa, silently eating, occasionally looking up to admire my sleeping face. This contract wife of his, always complaining about being bothered, calculating every penny, yet every time she appeared, she managed to extinguish his pressures in the most extravagant and comical way. He gently reached out and brushed a strand of hair from my cheek, the corner of his lips curving into a doting smile. Defeated in this round, Victoria and Tiffany, seething, concocted another plan. The following week, Victoria, citing the need to cultivate my high society demeanor, insisted I attend a secret antique auction with her. Her intent was clear, to make me choose something wrong, turning me into a laughingstock for the other elite wives. The auction hall was lavish and glittering. People frantically raised their paddles, shouting out bids of millions of dollars for antique porcelain vases. Me? I picked the comfiest VIP seat in the front row, crossed my arms, put on my sunglasses, and promptly dozed off. Near the end, Victoria sharply elbowed my ribs, her smile mocking. Audrey, it's your turn. Grandpa's birthday is coming up. As his daughter-in-law, you should pick a proper gift. Go choose a raw stone. Waking abruptly, I irritably removed my sunglasses. On the podium were dozens of rough, gray rocks. The ladies around me whispered and pointed, eager to see what useless rock I would pick so they could mock me. I stumbled forward, my lazy brain beginning to churn. Buy a vase? What if I broke it? Too much money. Buy jade? Too much effort to distinguish good from bad. My eyes landed on a small, crude black stone, thrown in the very bottom corner, with the cheapest price tag, $500. A calculation automatically formed in my head. Lately, the leg of my bed had been wobbly. Every night, when I turned over, it creaked, costing me 10 minutes of sleep. 10 minutes multiplied by 365 days equaled an enormous loss of sleep. This rock was square and cheap. Buying it to prop up my bed leg was the most logical choice. I'll take this one, I declared, pointing directly at the black stone. The entire hall erupted in laughter. Victoria covered her mouth, snickering. Audrey, you chose a piece of scrap rock? What will you do with such a cracked stone? I shrugged, answering nonchalantly, I'll use it to prop up my bed leg so it doesn't wobble. Just as the crowd was about to openly ridicule my provincial taste, a cold, authoritative voice echoed from the grand entrance. What's all this commotion? Caleb Thorne, just leaving work, had stopped by to pick me up. Seeing me clutching the crude stone, he strode over. His long, slender fingers brushed across the rough surface, then paused at a tiny crack at the bottom. Under the lights, a clear emerald green gleam reflected out. Caleb's pupils contracted. He lifted the stone, his hawk-like gaze sweeping over Victoria and the petrified crowd. "Mother's judgment of people may not be the best," he stated, his voice ringing through the silent hall, "but my wife's eye for gems is unmatched in this entire city. This is a 1,000-year-old ice species raw jade, a truly rare find. When cut, it's worth at least $2 million. The entire hall held its breath. $2 million. Caleb tossed the stone to his assistant, instructing him to have it carved into a Buddha statue, then wrapped an arm around my waist, patting my head. "You're brilliant, my dear." I stood bewildered in his embrace, screaming internally. Brilliant, my foot. What good is $2 million? He's taking my stone to carve a statue. Who's going to prop up my bed tonight? His capitalist brain had won again. Victoria, seething from repeated public humiliation, launched her final, desperate attack at home. Under the guise of Grandpa Thorne's wishes, she assigned me a crucial, high-stakes task: hosted Zen tea party in the Thorne Gardens for the wives of Thorne Corporation's most important strategic partners. Her intention was deeply malicious. Audrey, with her common background, surely wouldn't understand high society etiquette. Forced to host, I would stumble, say the wrong things, and offend the VIPs. This would impact Caleb's billion-dollar contract negotiations the next day, and I would become a historic scapegoat. Of course, Tiffany Reed was also invited, ready to clap and enjoy the show. Hearing Mr. Henderson's report, I, lying on the sofa eating seaweed snacks, immediately felt exhausted. Organizing a party meant wearing a tight, waist-cinching gown, standing for 3 hours, forcing a fake 8-tooth smile, and racking my brain to discuss perfumes and handbags. 1 minute of socializing depleted as much energy as 10 minutes of jogging, and caused wrinkles. Absolutely not an option. "Mr. Henderson," I waved a hand dismissively, "take Caleb's black card. Hire the city's most luxurious spa and meditation experts. Clear out all the tables and chairs in the garden. Set up water massage chairs instead. No sweet treats, just tranquility." The following afternoon, the glamorous, wealthy wives, clutching their designer bags, entered the Thorne Gardens, ready to scrutinize the country bumpkin daughter-in-law. Victoria and Tiffany stood sneering, anticipating a good show. But as they stepped through the gate, a team of white-clad specialists stopped them. "Welcome, esteemed ladies, to the Zen Healing Tea Party." I, wearing a light, flowing silk robe, held a small brass bell. "Today's rule is absolute silence for soul purification. No phones, no talking." The bewildered wives had their handbags confiscated. Their painful high heels were removed, and they were each given a loose silk outfit, then gently persuaded to lie on plush water massage chairs beneath the cool shade of trees. A chilled herbal mask and 2 cucumber slices were placed over each person's eyes. Tiffany Reed choked with anger as her newly purchased diamond earrings, which she'd intended to show off, were removed. She opened her mouth to scoff. Audrey, what kind of crazy, bong, a meditation expert, wielding a mallet, struck a brass bell right next to her ear. The resounding, lingering chime vibrated through her eardrum. "Patron, too many distracting thoughts. Please maintain silence to preserve the energy field." The expert sternly admonished her, lighting another stick of calming incense and wafting it directly under Tiffany's nose. Victoria, simmering with rage, was about to scold me when she, too, was met with a deafening bong from the bell. The two villains trembled with fury but had no choice but to clamp their mouths shut and lie still, not daring to utter a single word. As for me, I legitimately lay on the softest chair in the center, mask on, sleeping soundly for 3 solid hours. The garden was utterly silent, save for the gentle gurgle of water, the soothing meditation music, and the soft hum of the massage chairs. Unexpectedly, 3 hours later, when the wake-up bell sounded, the effect resonated powerfully throughout the city's elite circles. These women spent every day straining in tight designer clothes, staying up late in social battles, exhausted by fake diplomacy. Now, they were suddenly forced into a deep, relaxing sleep, their muscles massaged in absolute tranquility. Everyone opened their eyes feeling refreshed, light, and reborn. "Mrs. Thorne, you are truly thoughtful. This kind of tea party is exactly what we've been craving. So healing, truly so healing. Next week, I must host one exactly like it." The wives clasped my hands, thanking me profusely and praising my idea to the heavens. Victoria and Tiffany stood in a corner, their faces ashen like cold ashes, biting their lips, unable to comprehend how I, a lazy napper, had managed to win everyone over. The result of that silent afternoon of diplomacy was that the wives returned home in extremely good spirits. Their partner husbands, seeing their wives happy and praising the Thorne family, found the billion-dollar contract negotiations with Thorne Corporation the next morning went smoothly and favorably, without Caleb having to expend a single drop of saliva. That evening, Caleb Thorne came home from work. Hearing Mr. Henderson recount the events of the Gong and Bell party, he found himself both amused and exasperated. He walked into the bedroom, took off his tie, and saw his contract wife lying on the bed, scrolling through her phone, yawning broadly. He was intelligent enough to immediately understand that his lazy wife was just finding a legitimate excuse to avoid talking and go to sleep, with no profound diplomatic intentions whatsoever. Sigh, Caleb sat on the edge of the bed, his eyes, usually sharp and cold in the business world, now filled with a helpless, yet utterly doting and indulgent affection. He gently reached out and gave a soft pinch to my cheek. "Lazy diplomacy like this. I doubt anyone else in this city could pull it off," he said, his voice deep and warm, laced with a lingering smile. "You helped me close $1 billion deal. Thank you, Mrs. Thorne." I rubbed my cheek, blinking. "Is there a reward, Mr. Thorne? Shouldn't you give me a percentage of the commission?" Caleb let out a hearty laugh. He said nothing, just bent down and playfully ruffled my hair, his gaze like someone looking at the most precious treasure in the world. The Thornes in Victoria and Tiffany's sides had been plucked clean, right there in the Thorne household. Powerless to defeat me with their family schemes, Tiffany Reed, in a fit of desperation, launched her final, most cowardly attack, using public opinion and the media to drive me out of the house. One crisp autumn morning, clear and cloudless, I was wearing my usual gray tracksuit and slippers, walking my Samoyed, Muffin, in the Central Park near the Bayside estate. As we rounded the corner towards the Fountain Plaza, Muffin suddenly started barking frantically. From within the bushes, dozens of dark figures, armed with cameras with long lenses and microphones bearing the logos of various entertainment news outlets, surged out. They surrounded me like a pack of ravenous zombies, forming an impenetrable circle. "Mrs. Thorne, please answer our questions. There are rumors that you behave rudely in the Thorne household, that you're notoriously lazy, arrogant, and completely fail to fulfill your duties as a wife. Is this true? Sources in high society say that Crown Prince Caleb Thorne can no longer tolerate you and is preparing to file for divorce. What are your thoughts on this?" Camera flashes blinded me. Microphones were shoved inches from my face, each reporter seemingly desperate to pry open my mouth for a scoop. I stood still, my brain immediately shifting to escape route analysis mode. At least 20 reporters, plus 30 cameras. To break through, I'd have to exert the energy of a 400-meter sprint. Too exhausting. Calories wasted. Even if I escaped, tomorrow's papers would show me fleeing frantically, looking utterly pathetic. So, I did something that made the entire pack of paparazzi freeze. I led Muffin back 2 steps and plopped down onto a stone bench right next to him. I leisurely reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out a bag of walnut-flavored sunflower seeds I'd just bought from the convenience store. I cracked one open, bit down with a satisfying snap. "Everyone, calm down. Why crowd so much and break a sweat?" I chewed my sunflower seed, yawning, and then gestured with my chin towards the nearest microphone. "Now, Mr. Reporter with the glasses, what did you just ask?" Notoriously lazy and failing to fulfill my duties as a wife, right?" The reporters stared, bewildered, and nodded. They had ambushed countless celebrities and high-profile figures. Some would cover their faces and cry, others would call bodyguards to fight. This was the first time they'd encountered an elite wife, exposed by scandal, who nonchalantly sat down to crack sunflower seeds and chat. "That article got it spot on," I nodded, spitting a shell into the small trash can beside the bench. "I am notoriously lazy. I sleep until 10 a.m., I can't cook, I can't clean, I've never done my own laundry. In the Thorne household, the hardest thing I do is probably walk from my bedroom to the dining room." The entire plaza fell silent. Only the sound of the wind and my quiet tack-tack of cracking sunflower seeds could be heard. The reporters were utterly confused. Asterisk, she admitted it? Just like that? This isn't how the script goes, asterisk. But don't you feel any shame? A female reporter tried to provoke. You're a high society daughter-in-law, living off Mr. Thorne, with no contribution whatsoever. Aren't you afraid of being divorced? At the mention of divorce, my sleepy eyes suddenly lit up like car headlights. I tossed the bag of sunflower seeds aside, leaning forward towards the cameras, my voice full of excitement and sincerity. Afraid? Of course, I'm afraid. I'm afraid he won't divorce me. Seriously, reporters, write a strong article. Blast me mercilessly. Get it trending, buy some bots to push it to #1. Use public pressure to force Caleb Thorne to sign the divorce papers and kick me out of the house. As long as he signs, I swear I'll give 10% of my $7 million compensation package to be split among all the news outlets here. The reporters gaped, their jaws dropping, microphones trembling in their hands. Were they on a hidden camera comedy show? The Mrs. Thorne of the prominent Thorne family was begging the media to slander her so she could get a divorce? Just then, on social media, the live stream of me cracking sunflower seeds and begging for a divorce shot straight to the #1 trending spot at rocket speed. Netizens went wild, some cursing, others holding their stomachs and howling with laughter at my brazen indifference. And, of course, the person sitting in a meeting room at Thorne Corporation headquarters also saw it. Liam Miller secretly watched the iPad under the table, then couldn't help but snort loudly with laughter in the middle of a tense shareholder meeting. He pushed the iPad towards Caleb Thorne. Caleb glanced at the screen, saw my gleeful face asking for a share of the divorce settlement money, and a vein twitched in his forehead. The fountain pen in his hand cracked. He closed the file. Meeting adjourned. Assistant Mills, prepare the car. Mr. Thorne, but the South Investment Project. I'm picking up my wife. Anyone with objections can sign their own decisions. Caleb rose abruptly, taking long, lethal strides out of the conference room. He grabbed his suit jacket and headed straight for the Central Park. The reporters, after recovering from their shock, began to shove their microphones at me again, trying to dig up more hidden corners of the elite world. Suddenly, a piercing screech of brakes ripped through the air. Caleb's black Maybach, bearing a Super VIP license plate, swerved onto the curb, parking directly behind the reporters. The car door swung open, and Caleb stepped out. He was wearing a white dress shirt, 2 buttons casually undone, his tall figure exuding the cold, oppressive aura of a predator at the top of the food chain. The reporters recognized the Crown Prince and were so terrified they automatically parted, clearing a path. No one dared to utter a word. Caleb strode directly in front of me, his eyes dark and fathomless, sweeping over the lenses of the dozens of cameras pointed at him. I sat on the stone bench, blinking at him. Mr. Thorne, you're here to serve the divorce papers, right? Give me a pen, I'll sign right here, right now, while it's hot. Caleb didn't answer. He calmly sat down on the empty part of the stone bench beside me. Contrary to everyone's expectations of a fierce argument, the arrogant CEO calmly reached out and picked up the bag of sunflower seeds I'd left aside. Under the watchful eyes of millions watching the live stream, Caleb's long, slender fingers, with their prominent knuckles, accustomed only to signing $100 million contracts, now expertly cracked open a sunflower seed. He held the shelled kernel to my mouth. Open up, he commanded, his voice not loud, but laced with an unsettling possessiveness. Instinctively, I opened my mouth and took the sunflower seed. Asterisk delicious. He's pretty good at shelling. Caleb pulled a silk handkerchief from his breast pocket and gently wiped a tiny crumb of sunflower seed from the corner of my lips. Only then did he lift his hawk-like eyes, looking directly at the reporters standing frozen like statues. I don't know who was idle enough to spread these garbage rumors. Caleb's voice rang out, cold and authoritative, carried through the microphones to every corner of social media. But I think I need to clarify one thing. He put an arm around my shoulder, pulling me against his firm chest. Thorn Corporation pays hundreds of millions in taxes every year. We have countless servants. I married my wife to cherish her, to place her in a gilded cage and adore her, not to hire a nanny to clean the house and cook meals. He glanced at the female reporter who had dared to ask the insolent question earlier, a cold smirk on his lips. So what if my wife is lazy? I have enough money for her to be lazy for a dozen lifetimes and not run out. I enjoy spoiling her rotten. Do any of you have a problem with that? The entire plaza was silent, the sound of the wind was clearly audible. The pack of paparazzi were forced to eat a giant plate of PDA, choked into speechless submission. The notoriously cold-blooded Crown Prince of Thorn was publicly defending his lazy, indifferent wife in front of the entire world. What on earth was happening? In a luxurious apartment somewhere in the city, Tiffany Reed, watching the live stream on her iPad, was so furious she hurled the device against the wall, shattering it. Her scheme to use public opinion to force a divorce had not only failed spectacularly but had inadvertently created a stage for Caleb Thorn to assert his marital authority. Let's go home. Caleb paid no attention to the expressions of the people around them. He stood up, casually picked up Muffin with one hand, and tightly grasped my hand with the other, pulling me towards the Maybach. As the car door closed, completely isolating us from the scrutinizing eyes outside, I finally snapped out of it. I turned to Caleb, my lazy brain now operating at full quantum speed. Mr. Thorn, your acting skills have improved tremendously. That overbearing CEO defends his darling wife. Performance definitely reassured Grandpa and the shareholders, and swept away all the scandals. But, I held out my hand. You used me to quell public opinion, and you also ruined my chance to force a divorce from you. So, that performance just now, considering the emotional distress, I'll charge $50,000. Bank transfer or cash? The Maybach began to roll. Caleb leaned back into the leather seat, removing his sunglasses. His gaze on me was no longer the usual feigned indifference. Deep in his eyes swirled a dangerous, profound emotion, yet it was also incredibly warm. Audrey, he said, calling my name, his voice low and husky. Do you truly think I was acting just now? I froze, my hand, still outstretched for money, suspended midair. He leaned closer, the distance between us shrinking, his breath carrying a faint scent of cedarwood and mint, brushing my face. He raised a hand and gently flicked my forehead. You silly girl, he chuckled, a smile that disarmed all defenses. My money? Use it as you please. In the Thorn household, be as lazy as you want. Even if the sky falls, I'll hold it up so you can keep sleeping. He finished, then returned to his upright sitting posture, closing his eyes to rest. Leaving me petrified in the passenger seat. Wait. This isn't right. Is he under a spell? Why would this work-obsessed capitalist suddenly willingly become a protector for a lazy freeloader like me? I stared at Caleb's perfect profile, my heartbeat, usually as calm as a still lake, suddenly skipped a beat. The intuition of a seasoned slacker warned me, danger. Extreme danger, my $7 million contract. It seemed like things were about to change. From the day Caleb shelled sunflower seeds for me in front of the media, the atmosphere in the Thorn household changed dramatically. Victoria Hayes completely vanished from my sight. Rumor had it Grandpa Thorn had sent her to an out-of-town villa for quiet contemplation. As for Tiffany Reed, because she had bought trending topics to slander the Crown Prince, Caleb had used his iron fist to crush her family's company into bankruptcy. Word was, the Reed family had hastily sent her abroad to escape the fallout. No more scheming, no more being forced to wake up early to cook. The Bayside estate became an absolute paradise for laziness. But time, as they say, flies. In the blink of an eye, the one-year term of our marriage contract officially came to an end. That morning, I woke up with an unprecedented sense of excitement. $7 million. Freedom in a quiet coastal town. A life of pure idleness. I pulled my tiny suitcase from under the bed. My luggage was incredibly simple: 2 bear-print pajama sets, a plush body pillow, my gaming console, and 3 bags of seaweed-flavored potato chips. Designer clothes, priceless jewelry, I didn't bother with any of it. Packing those things was too tiring, carrying them around was an even greater expenditure of calories. I had already printed the meticulously drafted divorce settlement agreement my younger brother, Leo Bell, had prepared. I placed it neatly on the living room coffee table. Then, I sat cross-legged, jiggling my leg, waiting for the Crown Prince to return from work. At 6 p.m., the soft hum of the Maybach's engine sounded in the driveway. The main door opened, and Caleb Thorne entered, his black suit jacket still draped over his arm. The moment he saw me sitting beside my small suitcase, his footsteps faltered slightly. His deep-set eyes swept from the suitcase to the paper on the table. His expression instantly darkened, the temperature in the living room dropped as if a snowstorm had just blown through. "Good evening, Mr. Thorne," I stood up, beaming like an employee greeting her boss on payday. "Time flies, doesn't it? Our one-year contract officially ends today. Thank you for providing food and shelter during this time. Here's the divorce agreement, I've already signed it. Please sign, and conveniently transfer the $7 million in youthful compensation to my card. Once the money is transferred, I'll immediately grab my suitcase and vanish, returning your peace and quiet." Caleb said nothing. He slowly walked forward. His imposing presence made me unconsciously swallow. He picked up the divorce agreement, his slender fingers tracing my neatly written signature in the bottom right corner. "You're very well prepared, aren't you?" Caleb's voice was deep and husky, so cold it sent a shiver down my spine. "Luggage packed, ready to leave so hastily?" "Of course. My plan for a tranquil retirement has been scheduled, and my plane tickets are booked," I replied excitedly. Caleb's lips curved into a faint, dangerous, sinister smile that bloomed on the perfect face of the prince heir. He turned, calmly carrying the divorce papers, and walked towards the corner of the room where an automatic shredder stood. Before I could even process what was happening, his hand loosened. The divorce agreement, containing my $7 million dream of absolute idleness, was shredded into hundreds of tiny pieces, fluttering into the trash. My eyes widened, my lazy brain temporarily shutting down. "Caleb Thorne, what the hell are you doing?" I shrieked, looking at the pile of shredded paper with anguish. "Breach of contract. You're a businessman, how dare you breach a contract?" Caleb turned around. He slowly removed his tie, tossing it aside, then took one step after another towards me. His domineering aura forced me back until my back hit the sofa, leaving me nowhere to go. He propped his hands on the back of the sofa, trapping me between his broad chest and his masculine, cedar-scented breath. The distance was so close I could count each of his eyelashes. "Contract? What contract?" Caleb bent down, his head close to my ear, his deep voice carrying a deadly allure. "Assistant Mills carelessly lost the original copy of that contract half a year ago." You scoundrel!" I stammered, so angry I could barely speak. The dignified crown prince of this city, stooping to such a dirty trick. "Audrey, you're too lazy to think, aren't you? Then let me do the calculations for you." Caleb looked directly into my eyes, his capitalist logic beginning to operate. $7 million sounds like a lot, but what if there's inflation? If you buy a villa in a quiet town, do you plan to sweep the yard yourself, cook, do laundry, or catch roaches yourself every time it rains? At the single word, roaches, goosebumps instantly erupted on my skin. Caleb saw my expression, and the corner of his mouth curved in satisfaction. He continued his bait. "The old contract is outdated. I propose we sign a new one. A lifetime contract." "A lifetime contract?" I gasped, my eyes wide. Exactly. Stay in the city and continue to be Mrs. Thorne. He raised a hand, beginning to list the terms, or rather, the benefits. First, an unlimited black card. You can buy as many houses as you want to prop up your bed legs. Second, a 3-star Michelin chef available 24/7. You'll never have to eat takeout again. Third, he paused, his gaze becoming incredibly gentle, utterly doting. You don't need to socialize, you don't need to manage family affairs. If anyone dares to disturb your sleep, I will personally deal with them. You just need to stay in the Thorne household and be the laziest, most pampered person in the world. At this, my brain immediately launched its quantum supercomputer, analyzing costs and benefits. Option A, divorce. Take $7 million. Move to the countryside. Clean the house myself, order food myself. If there's a burglar, fight them myself. Face the risk of roaches flying into my face. Hardship, calories expended. Option B, don't divorce. No $7 million, but an unlimited black card. Food delivered to my mouth. Sleep in as late as I want. A handsome husband with a model physique to be my 24/7 bodyguard and roach exterminator. Easy life, no calories expended. This deal was far too good to pass up. Caleb watched the constantly changing expressions on my face, patiently waiting. He knew that appealing to my weakness for laziness was the only way to keep me. I looked deep into his eyes. In those dark depths, I saw seriousness, a rare flicker of nervousness from a business emperor, and a boundless, unconditional love that had sprouted without me even realizing it. He didn't need me to be capable, didn't need me to be exceptionally talented. He just needed me to be me, a lazy, carefree Audrey, who was nonetheless the only peaceful harbor in his life filled with schemes. I cleared my throat, struggling to suppress the smile that threatened to spread to my ears. Your terms aren't bad. I feigned reluctance, poking a finger at his firm chest. But a verbal agreement has no legal effect. It needs to be in black and white. Caleb let out a sigh of relief, his eyes brightening like distant stars. Of course. I'll call Assistant Mills right now. He's always on standby 24/7 to draft contracts for you. And one more thing. I yawned, stretching both arms around Caleb's neck, dangling from him like a lazy koala. I'm too tired from arguing with you just now. Too lazy to climb the stairs. Mr. Thorne, carry me upstairs. Caleb laughed, a radiant sound that shattered all the icy coldness of the city's crown prince, warm and brilliant as morning sun. He easily slid his hands under my legs, lifting me into a Princess Carrie, utterly steady. He bent down and lightly kissed my lips, his voice filled with an indulgence that reached my very bones. As you wish, Mrs. Thorne. For the rest of my life, I am willing to be your personal carrier. Looking at the tiny suitcase forgotten in the corner of the room, I silently thought, my dream of a life of idleness in a quiet town is shattered, but in its place, my golden era of being pampered to the heavens as Audrey Bell, the world's laziest woman, in the heart of this high society city, had officially begun.